So we wanted to spend the last session here talking about a decision or consideration that a lot of customers go through is, do I build my own capabilities? Do I buy and try to integrate as I'm thinking about my products and infusing analytics in those products? So I'll start with the analogy I always sort of think about is like a car manufacturer, right? Their expertise is building automobiles, right, and bringing them to market. When you think about all the components that go into a car, and audio systems always come to mind for me, those are things that they're not building on their own. They're not building it internally. They're generally buying that from people who specialize in those things. And, it kind of gives them an ability to, if you think about different trim packages in a car, for example, it gives them the ability to offer more premium options and typically align the better stereo systems with that higher offering and offer sort of a base model. And there's a lot of similarities between, thinking about analytics products and products that way, where there could and should be tiers that you offer. And I think we're at the point where if you have a product and you're not introducing analytics into it, it's kind of like offering a car as an automobile manufacturer without a speaker, like without even a base offering. So I think we need to think about that as we sort of go through the conversation here about, well, how do we do that? We know we need to do it. How do we do it? And then really, how do we get to the point where we can monetize and maximize our monetization potential within our applications? How do we differentiate them? How do we differentiate our products? So let's dive into that. There's really, I think, three areas or three considerations that we like to think about. So there's the technical aspect of buy versus build. There's the economical impact. So there's sort of the thing that I think is appealing about building for folks is, it's free in air quotes, that the license cost is free, it's open source, but there's other economical impacts that I think we need to consider. And then just the ecosystem and community considerations of going it on your own to kind of build an analytics application that you will then introduce into your products, or buying something that's kind of already done all the foundational work. So we'll go through those in the next 15, 20 minutes or so. And if we have time for questions, we'd be happy to take those. So let's start with the technical aspect. So there's really kind of three buckets, three areas that I think we like to sort of bucket these things into. There's risk of building your own. There's sort of the flexibility consideration and future proofing, and then just innovation. How do you continue to innovate the thing that you're embedding into your products? So let's dive in. So, I think it's deceptively simple when you think about embedded analytics, right? I think a lot of people think of it as it's just the UI or it's just the UX. It's kind of the top of the iceberg analogy. And it really is more than just chart building. It's more than just plugging some graphical representation of data into an application when you really want to build the differentiated functionality. And there's a lot of things that are under the surface that you probably don't think of, or you probably aren't thinking of. Things like, how are you going to scale? How's it going to perform? What about things like authentication and permissioning, data preparation, maintenance? There's a whole laundry list of things that if you're not doing this as a core part of your business, there's probably things you're going to miss. So that's the risk. You're introducing risk into the products that you sell that may become disrupted. They may be just not performant. They may not deliver according to your customer expectations. So there's a lot of risk, I think, in trying to do this on your own and missing some of these boxes that need to be checked in order to deliver a great experience for your customer. So that's one. The second is just the flexibility. You understand the requirements today. You understand the architecture that your products reside in today, but what if that changes? What if tomorrow your underlying database or your underlying data sources change? And what if your customer requirements change, which they will? How easy is it going to be to adapt to those new needs? So again, all the things that we just talked about kind of under the surface come into play. You need that flexible architecture to be able to change from a underlying database to another without disrupting your customers and without having to rebuild your entire application. So definitely a thing to think about, that your requirements will absolutely change moving forward. The third is just thinking about your resources and thinking about innovation. As I said, I think that there's an expectation from pretty much all customers that analytics is going to be part of products that they're consuming. It already is. And the bar is just going to continue to raise. So, how will you, as someone who is building an application and looking to introduce analytic capabilities, stay ahead of that curve and continue to innovate the analytics components of it? There's a spectrum for sure. And I think, when you think about your internal resources, the people who are building these products and working on that integration of analytic capabilities into the products, there's a spectrum. You could do sort of things on the lower complexity, lower time to develop, lower technical skills end of the spectrum. And this is really just kind of embedding charts and dashboards. And again, that's bare minimum. This is not how, you're going to maximize your revenue potential or monetize. I think people expect this. As you move to the right, this is building custom experiences, custom applications, which are higher value, the higher complexity, and just the higher ability to monetize. So thinking about, where do you want to spend your scarce, valuable technical resources? Kind of on the low end, building out baseline table stakes capabilities and maintaining them, or innovating and really driving revenue growth through new applications, reaching new customers via that channel. So, again, resources are scarce, but I think thinking about how are you going to innovate is a huge consideration from a technical perspective. Let's shift gears a little bit and talk about sort of the economic considerations. And again, I think the appeal here is there is an underlying assumption or belief that building your own analytic capabilities into your product is free, and it's you have the skills already. So if you're leveraging open source capabilities, it should be really low cost. I think there's some things we need to think about though when it comes to just time to market for new products that you're building, for introducing differentiated analytic capabilities into your products. There's a time to just cash flow positive, or just time to monetization, and then opportunity costs, right? Of course, things that you're not doing, right? As you're starting to build out, trying to build your own data platform that you use to introduce analytics into your products. So let's jump into time to market. So it stands to reason, and we sort of depicted this as if you're not, an expert in building a data platform, an analytics platform, and you have to go build it yourself and figure out how to do that and figure out, what are the things you need to account for, all the things that were below the surface in that iceberg diagram, it's going to take a long time, right? And that is time that is spent a lot in, development, test, validation, QA. You're building that foundation. So, you're kind of doing all of the plumbing and wiring of your really a data platform that you're trying to build that you will then use to integrate into your own products. So there's a lot there, a lot of things that, again, I think if you haven't done this, you'll potentially miss. So that's one thing. And again, what you're missing out on here is obviously the opportunity to monetize, and potentially missing out on opportunities to build new products and reach new customers with the capabilities that you already have in your core competency. So whatever products you're building that could benefit from analytics and drive new revenue or differentiate further, you're kind of missing out on. So there is that time to market component. Naturally, what follows is, if you're not bringing products to market or you're not bringing new capabilities into your products to market, you're missing out on monetization opportunities. So, the obvious, I think, thing to think about here is you can build net new revenue streams. That's probably what your goal is, to build products that, customers will pay you for, right? They're going to buy products from you or pay you more for products that you already are selling to them because they introduce new capabilities. if the other thing to think about, though, and I think, we've got customer examples where if you have a product that is just easier to demo, or it creates a more compelling demo because of what you've done on the analytics front, conversion rates are going to be higher. There's a lot of sort of soft things beyond just the net new revenue stream to think about that, again, you might be missing out on if you're spending time building that foundational aspect. I mentioned this in the intro, but I really do think, we need to think about the sort of good, better, best spectrum when it comes to your product. So I do believe that there's a table stakes expectation from customers that there has to be some level of analytic capabilities in really every product. I mean, that's just the reality of where we are today. But there certainly is an opportunity to increase your sort of level of monetization by adopting this good, better, best approach. And examples we've seen are, if you think about the good spectrum or the good end of the spectrum where people sort of expect a certain level of analytics, that could be some, static chart capabilities. It can be against aggregated data that goes back 12 months. It could offer just, kind of no scheduling, no alerting, anything like that. It's really just sort of a basic reporting kind of interface. And, again, I think that's sort of the good end. As you move up, though, there's opportunities to do a lot of things, right? From how do you do more than that, and how do you command more of a premium or more revenue from your customers by doing, maybe detail level data. Maybe you go back 48 months. Maybe you offer things like alerting and scheduling. Maybe you offer ad hoc analytic capabilities. So you're not just delivering a dashboard type of interface or a pre-built visualization interface. You're offering the ability to have your customers do their own analysis or create their own reports, or to use the product in a way that is really sort of true ad hoc analysis. So there's a number of things I think to think about here. But again, think about how do you leverage the investment in analytics to create this structure and drive kind of that new revenue opportunity that really probably wasn't accessible before. This gets back to sort of the, what are you missing out on? This is the opportunity cost, where there are definitely, people, probably competitors of yours, that are building new products, right? They're leveraging capabilities to bring new products to market, use analytics in innovative and differentiated ways. And this is a Gartner survey result or quote that we found, where 45% of technology leaders are looking at expanding or increasing their investment in BI or data analytics solutions. So again, just an indication that people are doing this. And if you're not thinking about the world this way, and thinking about how you're going to differentiate on analytics, I think you risk, kind of falling behind. So the third area is around sort of the ecosystem considerations. And again, what we're talking about here is the going on your own, right, is exactly that. You're going on your own. And there's a lot of things that I think you'll have to learn on your own and learn the hard way without some of the resources that a vendor and sort of the surrounding ecosystem of the vendor can offer. So things like vendor communities, partner networks, customer references, of your peers who are kind of doing the same thing you are. Like, what advice can you get from them? So let's walk through those real quickly. So start with communities. There are a lot of just sort of vendor-led or vendor-supported communities where there are people who are using platforms provided by a vendor that have open forums to sort of discuss technical aspects of it, problem issues, those sorts of things. So that can be a resource in and of itself. Developer communities, right, that are available to you, sort of in that same vein. Just a community of your peers, people who are trying to do the same thing, can be an incredible resource. Partner network covers, I think, a lot of sort of different areas. So technology partners, system integrators, just sort of regional boutique partner availability, and just industry specialization. So I'll start with technology partners. If you think about a platform, a data platform providing analytic capabilities that maybe doesn't have every single thing that you need, every single aspect of the platform. If that data provider or that data analytics provider has an open, extensible architecture and has built technology partner relationships with other vendors that maybe offer something that, again, isn't provided natively, that's going to help you, right, as you're constructing your application. So again, think about sort of the integrations, the technology that's available outside of the analytics provider that you're considering. System integrators, I mean, these are the specialists who can help with the deployment. They can help with implementation. They can help with development, with maintenance, with just scaling. Really, really good resource. And again, every vendor that you look at is going to have a different network of system integrators. They're going to have a different level of support within the system integrator community. There's regional system integrators as well, some more boutique integration partners. There's industry specialists. So, if you're in a particular vertical industry, really good resource to find, what are other companies doing in the space? What are some of the gaps, that partners are seeing when they're talking to customers and prospects? It will help sort of identify where your opportunities might be, right? Part of, I think, this whole journey is figuring out, well, what do you need to build from a product perspective? What sort of analytic capabilities will actually matter to your customers? The partner networks can be a really good resource there. And then finally, customer references. I mean, I think they're probably one of the most valuable, as a prospective buyer or someone who's looking to develop applications or someone just sort of in the product world, looking at other customers who have developed innovative things, who have probably gone down the road of solving, finding technical problems and solving them. So again, a really good resource for that. Just validating your sort of go-to-market plan, right? You're talking about new products and, even thinking about things like what is an appropriate good, better, best scenario, and how do you price that? Is there enough delineation between your good and better tier and your best tier? How do you sort of think about that? Customers who've gone down that path can certainly help there. And then, the vendor validation. If you make the decision that, you don't want to go on your own and you want to look for a data analytics provider to essentially supply you with those capabilities, which one should you go with, right? And finding customer references who are deploying various solutions can be a really, really helpful input into your decision. And I think the biggest one is just source of ideas, like thinking of the art of the possible. Again, this is not just embedding some bar charts into applications. How do you sort of create those rich experiences? And I think hearing customer stories and seeing examples can be a really good source of inspiration there and ideas. So just to wrap up, I think the art of the possible is kind of where I think it gets pretty exciting when you sort of think about what you can do from a product perspective. How you can innovate, how you can drive net new revenue. I mean, that's obviously the goals of I'm sure a lot of you out there, right? How do you maximize your revenue potential? How do you create new customers? How do you bring new customers on board? There are plenty of examples out there that are available, and again, I think can spark some innovation. And then just the call to action is just engage. I mean, we certainly have many of those examples that we can point to and really help from a technical perspective, talking about the things that I talked about earlier, where what happens if my scenario changes next year? How is Looker positioned to help me through that? So engage with us. We've got a ton of experts, and building applications and embedded is just a really, really big part of our focus. Just a couple of examples, and again, neither of these look like a BI application, right? These are the really, really rich custom developed application. This one that's on the screen is Fox. and obviously they're a big company with a lot of resources, but if you sort of think about this as being accessible and available to every type of company that builds products, this is an example by Park Mobile. So, obviously a smaller company than Fox, but again, building really innovative and engaging application experiences for their customers. And again, just engage with us. I mean, this is a really important area for Looker, and we do have a lot of expertise that can help you on your journey. So we're here for you.